Hello and welcome to another episode of Insane in the Fembrain.
Insane in the
Fembrain.
And before we get into it, over on my other podcast, Insane in the Membrane, I'm talking to Patrick Jones, poet Patrick Jones, who is also the elder brother of Nicky Wire from Manic Street Preachers. So get yourselves over there to Insane in the Membrane right now. This week's guest is Kelly Ford, who I met through her show on Soho Radio. She's a fantastic woman. I was really looking forward to getting her on, the show, and it didn't disappoint. It was a fantastic chat. Pardon me. Sorry, I've just had some sandwich that you'll find out in the episode. Actually, and it was a great chat. We talk about everything. We really got involved because Kelly is pregnant, and I don't really know. Obviously, being a man, I don't know much about that. So we really got stuck in. I just thought I'd ask. So and she was gracious enough to tell me. This podcast, I will tell you now, does contain discussions of Father Christmas that won't be suitable for young listeners. So if you've got this on in the car, probably don't have this on in the car if you've got little kids around. This is one for later on in the evening when you're on your own, or when you're on your own in the car. Do that. We talk about being a father. We talk about being parents. Actually, while we're on the subject, my good mate Johnny Cochran has got he's got a podcast all about this called "How's Your Father?" and it's a great podcast. Johnny's a great lad, and so go over there, go and get hold of that podcast. You'll have a really great time. I've spoken many times actually on the podcast about me being a dad, and it is one of the best things I've ever done. My lads are good lads. I'm very proud of them. They're good boys, and they sometimes look at me like with despair, like, when are you going to sort yourself out, Dad? I'm trying, lads. But yeah, it's a funny thing, especially now with the way things are at the minute. We talk about what that must be like, bringing a baby out into the world as it is right now, and Kelly covers all that. She's a fantastic woman, and so let's get on with it. So coming up in just a bit, Kelly Ford.
Hello, Rich. How are you?
I'm good. I just heard you made sushi today.
Yeah, lovely.
Amazing.
Sorry about the delay.
No, you're all right, mate. It's one of those things.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter, We're here now. That's the main thing.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I was also thinking about what kind of sandwich you would have gone for, and I've got it down to two. I thought it's either cheese and pickle or like a coronation chicken.
No, I went for a tuna and red onion.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
fancy.
Some cucumber being good for you. Yeah, coronation chicken.
I don't know.
I think people do make that. Do you know what? I love sushi. But I have to be careful when we go to Yo Sushi. We end up surrounded by pots, and you can just get it off the conveyor belt. Just
too much fun.
It's too much fun. You can't have that. You can't have good stuff whizzing around on a conveyor belt. It's too much fun. It's too much fun.
That'll be £4,000, please. Yeah.
Yeah, there is that as well. Are you all right though? You well?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. We've just been recording my debut radio show. Funnily enough, I'm doing.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I'm following your footsteps, and I'm doing Islington Radio. So
brilliant.
So we've just been doing that, and I've never done it before. I've done this, but I've never done that, and so it's quite. Yeah, it's.
What's the show about?
It's called the Tuned Up Time Machine, and we go all over the place, just playing different music from different years, and I just talk a bit about it. And it's been quite a discovery for me. There's stuff that I've discovered researching it, so I really enjoyed it. I mean, how long have you been doing it?
Radio in total about 8 years.
Wow.
But I kind of started off at Radio Lollipop, Great Ormond Street and Evelina Hospital. Yeah. So, I guess, 7 years. It's just always kind of been there, a bit of a passion. And it's so fun. It's such a great thing to do. And actually, because you've done so many of these, brilliant programming, like I bet it's coming super, super.
Oh, thank you.
Easy.
It came easier than I thought. I've got to be honest. It's just, the beauty of it is the first few are going to be pre-recorded. so we can edit all the swears out.
Yeah, that's good.
There was a bit of that, but not even by me. Producer Paul.
Yeah, it was me most of the time, wasn't it? Sorry.
And yeah, it's been good. It's been good. But it's,
Well done. That's really good.
I'm excited for it, and it's something I've always wanted to do. Anyway, despite all that, let's move on. It's lovely to have you on. We've been talking about this for ages, and do you know what? Let's get stuck in. Let's get right into it.
Absolutely.
Because
Thank you.
You have got a body inside you.
I know.
How's that?
I know. Yeah, it's good. I just feel like the lockdown cliche.
Right.
Someone said the other day, have you not got a TV? And I was like, but
yeah, but that's better than telly, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, it's better than just coming out of lockdown with a fantastic sourdough starter, isn't it?
With nothing to show for it, but really good kombucha.
Yeah.
So this happened in lockdown then, and then was it planned? Did you plan it?
Well, do you know what, Rich? We're going to go there.
Come on.
It was something, I had a little girl in 2016, and then a year afterwards, fell pregnant really quickly. And I was like, hang on a minute. We're not ready for this. And it turns out we weren't ready for it because we actually lost a baby at 12 weeks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then kind of like the whole like baby thing was always kind of in the back of our minds. And then I got really sick in 2018.
Right.
And got diagnosed with Crohn's and
wow.
another really nasty thing called pyoderma gangrenosum.
What is that?
And don't look it up if you haven't had your lunch. Ugh. It is something really disgusting. It's like a necrotizing skin thing. Anyway.
Oh wow.
So and that came about through an insect bite on my leg from Bali. Anyway, long story short, we couldn't try for a baby at that time because I was very poorly. And then we were kind of trying, and I just that phrase, trying, and actually
you were having sex, yes,
having loads of sex, Rich, wall to wall sex, and then it came to the point where we'd been trying for sort of like 16 months. And it was 1 month into lockdown, and I think I was like 2 bottles of rosé down, and I made the decision, we are not doing this anymore. We've got a lovely little girl. That's it. Be really happy about that. Move on.
Yeah. And then ta-da.
And my husband, yeah, exactly. And then da-da. So, yeah, sorry, that's a bit long story there, but a little bit of background. But
it's interesting.
Yeah, really happy.
I'm so pleased. I am pleased, genuinely. I don't know, because I had kids young. I've said this loads on here. When I was 20. So, and they're grown up now. They're adults now. They're 28 and 23. So, and they're good lads. They're very good lads. They've turned out brilliantly. But I've got to be honest, because a lot of people are having babies at the minute, my ovaries are clacking a little bit. I'm getting a little bit broody. And
second wind.
Yeah. And I said this on the other day, I said, I'd be a bit weird though, there's a massive gap, but no, be fine. But that's all right for me.
Did you like the baby bit? Did you like the baby bit?
Yes, I did. I do remember it. It wasn't, it wasn't a walk in the park because I was a kid myself, so I didn't know what I was doing. But I do love kids. I love having kids around. I think it really gives you energy. As well as taking it away when they're, because they're up at ridiculous times and it's constant, isn't it? It's like, they want your attention completely. I don't know. I'm feeling it. How are you feeling at the moment?
I'm feeling really good. I mean, we did have a bit of a sleep terrorist situation where we didn't sleep for kind of 2 years. Wow. But actually, I feel like I'm rediscovering the world again through my daughter, and actually just the really simple things like crunching through autumnal leaves, or, it seems a bit cliche, but actually I think as adults you can get a bit passé with the world and the beauty of it and the good stuff and the little things.
Yes.
And actually the little people can definitely kind of open your eyes to what is beautiful sometimes in the simplest form. So yeah, I feel I never thought I was going to become a mum, and then quit my full-time job because I wanted to get into comedy, and then literally a month later kind of got pregnant. And I remember being on the Royal Mile, just like trying to get as many gigs as possible and just like trying not to chunder and then just like trying to make people laugh like 20 gigs in. And it was like, this is quite, I think I should get a big brownie badge for this because like this is hardcore.
There's a lot. That is a lot. Comedy and
Yeah.
pregnancy at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you continue comedy right until you were due, or?
Yeah,
Wow.
I 37 weeks, because I was like, actually, do you know what? This is what it's all about. And being completely clear-headed when you are pregnant, it was just, it actually lent itself really well to comedy, I think.
Yeah, I going back to what you said as well about kids kind of open your eyes to certain things, don't they? Like the magic in the world. I remember I've said this before. I remember I'm so sad that I don't believe in magic anymore, but kids do. They still believe in Father Christmas, and they still believe in weird and wonderful monsters under the bed and things like that. And it's that innocence, I think, is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And totally to be, I think, encouraged. Like Tab's just finished her first week at school, and I found this kind of faux Regency fairy door that kind of sits on your skirting board.
Amazing.
And I kind of like planted it there with some little milk bottles next to it, a welcome mat, some post, a few packages, a key.
What?
And just a load of like little glitter all around it. And she lost her shit. I mean, it was just beautiful. Like, and now it kind of, I can then leave little props outside. I buy little doll's house props and like leave them outside. I put a few pumpkins there a couple of days ago. And she just, it blows her mind. And I'm like, anything to celebrate magic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I love, and that's what I think that's what's happening with me. I think maybe because everything is so shit in the world, maybe I'm thinking, oh dear, I need someone around to show me that it's not all bad. Yeah, it's quite selfish, really.
But it is it is shit on toast out there. It is, and it is quite hard to kind of get that feeling of that effervescence of magic and wonder amongst a pandemic, being led by a lying, I mean, just there's all the things without getting political, but I just think, yeah, we've all got to celebrate anything that's good and just clasp onto it and run.
Oh, absolutely. Especially, it just seems to be more and more, the world's on fire. Other countries, we're seeing their governments are getting stuck in, and New Zealand, and they're like, they're taking pay cuts and they're doing this and they're showing people that they're in it with us, whereas our government are just hell bent on really putting the boot in. It seems I've never known such a selfish bunch of pricks. And the new stuff about the kids' school dinners, and they voted no. How can you vote no? I see things like that. I'm like, I was on the train coming here to do this, and I just felt utter despair. I just felt so helpless.
That guy, Marcus Rashford, what an absolute hero. I've just did a bit of radio with the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, and we were talking about poverty and the thing I find really offensive about the way the media portray poverty is this kind of like, anytime you see a news clip, it will be homeless people who are using drugs by tube stations, right?
Yeah.
That's their kind of media angle on what homelessness is. And speaking to Joseph Rowntree, it turns out that 7 out of 10 working families out of families living in poverty, 7 out of 10 are working families. And, hearing stories of key workers in 1-bed flats where their teenagers are sharing the main bed and they're sleeping on the floor. And, the poverty problem in this country is just astonishing. I think there's 4 million children living in poverty, and just... Yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
This government really need to sort it out. And, for someone like Marcus Rashford to have to make that change, yeah.
Oh, man. And it's, this has been said many times that, there's no money for this, there's no money for that, but we can give 12 billion to Serco for for fuck all, and they've taken a $3,000 pay rise, whereas our nurses are they don't even have proper protection.
My sister's a midwife. And,
what do we do? What do we do? You know.
Well, I think we all have to do our bit by campaigning in the right areas, and trying to make our difference in the platforms that we might have, or by lobbying our MPs and trying to get amongst it. I think that's what we all have to do.
Yeah, I tell you what I find as well. I very recently, I was talking to my lads, and I suddenly realised they are grown men and they have their own opinions and their own ideas. And it was the first time I'm like, oh, you get it. You understand what's happening. They weren't children anymore. They were telling me stuff. Wow. And it was a really nice moment. I'm like, oh, cool. I can.
That's special.
Yeah, we're like equals now. It's not. I mean, yeah, I'm still their dad, but we're men. Looking, you know what I mean? And it was a really nice moment. I was like, oh, you boys are brilliant. Because there's a tendency to think that the younger generation don't have a clue. But they actually do. And they're actually doing something about it, which is amazing.
And by having that conversation with them, Rich, did you feel like you've opened up a floodgate of like opinion and conversation for the future about politics, about social change? Like, do you feel like you've opened the floodgates a bit?
Definitely. It feels, I was on you just assume that they're just kids and they don't know what's going on, but it was a real eye-opening moment. And because I was always I was like, oh God, what sort of a world have I brought them into? But they're just dealing with it like we've dealt with it, And I think, like, you're about to, you've got a daughter, you're about to bring in another life to the world. Do you worry? Do you think, what am I bringing my children into? Well, like you say, just do your bit, don't you? You just try and make it, you just look after your bit, don't you, I suppose?
I do worry about that a lot. Like, I live in Newham in the East End of London. There's a lot of kind of crime and poverty and rubbish and mattresses and chicken bones and all those things that when I grew up, I was very fortunate. I lived on the top of a hill with 100 acres surrounding us. There wasn't mattresses on your front doorstep or chicken bones or being woken up by shouting in the night, So
yeah,
of course I worry about the world that we live in, especially after watching David Attenborough. But I do get very encouraged by the incredible diversity that we live amongst, the sense of community. I live on Albert Square in East London. And, it is, we've got an amazing community. And actually, we live in a really diverse world that's so culturally rich,
Yeah.
There's a Romanian bakers down the road where we get our delicious pastries from, and we can go and have Colombian coffee round. We live in a really rich pool of cultural diversity, and for that I just think this is an amazing place to grow up. You can 30 minutes you're in the Tate Modern, you're in Epping Forest and you're on your bike in 10 minutes. Like, actually there's so much beauty amongst all the crazy. I think as long as she won't be able to go out and get a pint of milk until she's 18 on her own in these ends. But that's until we, things will change.
Absolutely. I think you're right. It's trying to focus on the positives that we have rather than, I think, again, we just need to come away from social media a bit and experience what's actually going on around us. I think, that's the thing. I know I get bogged down in all the crap and I shouldn't.
Do you love social media?
No, no one does. Do you love it?
I find it like, I'm like Lamar on it. Yeah, I'm 50-50. I'm like, I find it like, some days I think, oh, this is a really important thing that we have. People are getting voices that have never been heard before.
Yes.
You can connect with people that you haven't seen for 20 years. There's some really great things about it. But there is obviously this underbelly of kind of negativity that actually, I know you've spoken about this, a fair amount on your podcast, and I don't want to, but I think we all know too much of it is a bad thing.
Oh, for sure. I remember when I was a kid, you kind of knew everything. You knew there was bad stuff going on, but you didn't know fully what it was. You kind of just, there was a bit on the news about a war or an atrocity somewhere, but we didn't have it all the time, constant, which, I think you need to know what's going on, but you don't need to know that it's going on all the time because you can't really do anything about it. You can't, I'm not at war with anybody. I didn't do that, but it's, and me knowing the ins and outs of everything, it doesn't really help. It doesn't really help anybody else, I don't think, It's I think sometimes we need a break from it, Take your bike up Epping Forest.
Yeah. Pack a Coronation chicken sandwich. Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to ask you now, and this is a bit. I'm just going to ask you, right? Because I've never been pregnant, and that's no shock to you.
Really?
Yeah. What? I know. So the mother of my kids.
Just go there.
What does it feel like? What does it feel like to have a human being growing inside you? Like, what is that? Because I know that's what we're built for that. So that it's not, you're not like, whoa, what's this? You kind of, but what does it feel like to know that that's going on?
That's a really good question. I currently feel like I'm housing Michael Flatley, practicing river dance. Like, it's so weird. I just, for the first pregnancy, I was kind of just so sort of deluded. I was in this kind of hypnobirthing bubble, just bouncing on balls and just deep breathing and actually, so smug, actually, just prancing around and just pregnant. And actually, you kind of don't realise what's going to happen at the end, where you're going to get this human living being. I mean, I feel bloody lucky, Rich. That's for certain, to be carrying a baby, because I know for so many it's not possible. So yeah, I feel, one, very lucky. Two, it is quite weird.
Yeah.
Occasionally, when you're I might be talking to you now, and literally I'm getting a douche on my bladder, and I'm hang on a minute, actually you need to chill that out for the next 35 minutes. So it's interesting. It's it's quite surreal, I guess, because you don't quite know. If you were to actually visualize the human that I was just eating sushi with 10 minutes ago actually was inside my stomach, and that came from kind of, a moment of love. It actually is pretty crazy.
It's mad, isn't it? It is mad that we were all inside our mums at some point. Isn't that mad? It blows my mind when I think about that. Yeah, I know.
That is a sentence.
That's going on the T-shirt.
We were all inside our mums. I think that's great.
But we were, and it blows my mind that we were. That's how we all started. And oh man, and then
it's magical, isn't it?
Isn't it? And it's funny because when you see animals giving birth, like horses and things like that, and you go, "Whoa, God, blimey!" But it's the same thing, really. I remember when Lisa, the mother of my kids, was giving birth, and Kiana, the first one, I remember stood there, and I thought she'd be laying down in bed, and I'd be holding her hand and up the top, sort of out of the way, but she's sitting up, so you're amongst it, you're there. And then all the everything started to come pouring out, and I just stood there going, "Oh wow!" And it's difficult not to say "Oh wow" out loud when someone that you love is in tremendous pain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can see its head, and she's like, "Well, pull it fucking out then." And I'm like, I can't. It's not.
Wow, it sounds like a James Herriot.
It was quite a thing. Yeah, it's always to get my hand in, and I was talking about this to someone last night actually. We were talking about pain thresholds. and how women obviously built your pain thresholds are a bit further out, you're a bit further out than us lads. We'd be, if it was as we are now and we had to give birth, we'd be shocking. Absolutely shocking.
I literally, I was the most deluded person ever. I had a 10-page birth plan, and at the top in caps it said no drugs at any point. And I remember saying to a friend, I've got this 10-page birth plan, no drugs. Kelly, that's the first time you've ever said no to drugs in your whole life. Anyway, so that was that. And actually, I went overdue, so I had to be induced, and they're like, we'll induce you, and then you can go home. So I was like, wicked! I'm going to go straight to Nando's, half a chicken, chips and coleslaw if you're interested. Yeah, and thought we'd go home for a bit of a rom-com. And I was just so deluded. I was in this hypnobirthing kind of bubble where I was like, I'm going to breathe my baby out. I literally packed 2 suitcases with bikinis, Bombay mix to have at 9 centimetres. I had laminated pictures of canals that I was going to visualise.
Oh, yeah.
And then literally had a bath. And because I was induced, I literally went bang into like screaming every 3 minutes, like vibes. Ridiculous. Called an Uber. And this guy, he had probably 10 of my, it was the highest pitch scream. I just couldn't even control the pain.
Really?
And we stopped at Leighton station just by the traffic lights. And these 2 boys just walked past the car and they were like, is someone being killed in that car? And it just, it was just unreal. Got to the hospital 1 centimetre. But, I couldn't even compute how painful it was. If someone had put a bullet up to my head, I'd be like, yeah, do it. Because I could not actually get over it.
And what is it? Was it just you could feel the pressure of the baby pushing?
Yeah, it was like it was like, because I think basically when you're induced, you are sent into a false sense of labour. So my body hadn't basically caught up. So it's like bang, I was having contractions, whereas normally you have like quite a big build up from what I gather. Anyway, it ended up in an emergency cesarean, and we were all healthy and happy and very lucky. But I just couldn't believe how, I literally, as soon as I got in there, I was like, where are the drugs? And I said that probably about 5,000 times until they put a spinal block in me and delivered the baby. Oof. So yeah, so I just think, actually perfect vagina, emergency cesarean. So, all's well that ends well. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't an emergency. It wasn't cesarean, or not with what I've witnessed twice. And it was quite a scene. Yeah, I know, like women listening now going, typical bloke, you just don't know what you're saying. Mm-hmm. I couldn't. Of course I'll never know. I don't know. I can only tell you what I observed. And I know halfway through, Lisa got up and I'm like, where are you going? She said, I'm going to the toilet. I need a shit. I'm like, you've got a baby coming out. You can't go anywhere. You've got to stay here.
It's a good sign.
Well, yes. Your body just pushing everything out. But... And that is, I think this is a thing that men and women need to talk more about, and maybe men and women are talking more about this now. So this was in 1992, so we didn't have books. Well, there were books, we didn't read them. It wasn't as it is now. It seems to be there are more manuals and things. We kind of had to just ask advice from other people.
Yeah, and do boys really talk about it with each other?
Not at
we
all.
Didn't really do the NCT thing. We did sort of hypnobirthing, but I mean, I think it's quite hard on the boys. I remember this guy saying to me that his wife was in full-blown labour, and he just was like, he had 3 sentences and he just kept
yeah, I've heard that.
repeating them. That's it. Very good.
Well done.
Yeah. And I think it's quite hard for the men, actually. I think to see your beloved, your partner in that kind of pain. Some people don't feel pain. Fair play to those fuckers, But, I think actually for the men, it is actually quite a hard role. And, in hypnobirthing, they say, your birth partner should be, protecting your space. And it's like, actually, the reality is, quite often your space is like, you know, you're being kind of, your water's broken, you've got 5 people fisting you, you know, you know, baby monitors, it's all quite high intensity, especially if you're in a hospital. I mean, you know, not all home births are like that, and I'm sure a lot of births aren't like that, and I'm not speaking generally here, but I think for the men, actually, it's quite tough.
Yeah, and we don't even know where to begin, and we can't. It's funny with that. She just said, "Look, just rub my back," and so I was rubbing her back, and then she was like, "Fuck off, stop touching me, rub my back, stop touching me," and it was like that for ages, and and men don't talk about it for some reason, and we don't talk about it to women. We need to be able to ask more questions and just go, "Look, I genuinely don't know what you're going to go through or what you are going through. Can you tell me?" You know, there needs to be more communication, and I don't know if there is more of that now, but certainly back then there wasn't. You know, I mean, there wasn't even 24-hour shops. There was a garage somewhere that I had to go out and find Chewits at 3:00 in the morning. But
essential.
That was a thing. Chewits and what was it? There was Chewits and bolognese. That was it.
Lovely.
Yeah, not at the same time, but those were the things I had to fetch. And we don't talk. We don't ask. We're scared to ask the questions, and so you know.
I think there's a lot more information out there, and if you think actually, even just like the Channel 4 program of One Born Every Minute, you know, actually that whole experience that always had been quite sort of closed door, birth and birthing has, you know, now made its way to a mainstream TV program. So actually it's been outed a bit, hasn't it? It's not sort of matrons with a woman hidden behind a door. It's a, you know, you can see three people pop them out in 1 hour on Channel 4, and actually is that kind of normalising it and enabling boys to kind of, and men to riffing.
No, I think you're right, but it all comes back to that same thing, doesn't it? That we are only now starting to make those changes where men are talking to each other, and it's going to take a long time for men on all levels, from all backgrounds, to talk to each other. I still hear, you know, there's still that, you know, for want of a phrase, toxic masculinity amongst like proper men in vans and things like that. I was with someone a little while ago, and it was all, I saw this bird the other day and blah blah blah, and I was like, why are you talking like that still? And then he sort of went, oh yeah, sorry. He felt he had to talk that way, and it was only because I turned around and went, mate, we're not doing that, are we? And he went, oh yeah, and we had a lovely afternoon, but. It's still happening. It's still out there, and I think
you met a few birds, yeah.
We were driving. We were driving along in this van, and he went, "Oh look, there's one." I was like, "Mate, fucking hell!" And it was all a front.
I'd have loved to have been in that van. That just sounds so fun.
It was the first half an hour. I'm like, just get me out of here. This is shit. But after that, it was completely fine. After we spoke, you know, we talked about the elephant in the van, and
was that Talk Sport on the radio? Can you please get that shit off?
I can't stand that. I don't like sport. I don't like anyone that talks to me about football. I just shut down. I've said that on here loads of times, but people do assume. Like Coronation Chicken and football.
I'm sorry.
Nah, you're all right, mate. I'm so used to it. It's all fine.
Coronation Chicken, though, can be quite snazzy.
No, it can't. Come on.
No, they can't.
It's got raisins in it.
It's got raisins.
It's got raisins in it. It's got fucking fruit in me chicken.
No, you can't have that.
No. Oh, it's on me or you're...
No, we can't have raisins in your chicken.
I tell you what, though, what I did take away from lockdown was squeezing zest and things into your fruit, the juice of a lemon and stuff into your food. Oh my word, it's changed my life.
Oh yeah,
it's changed my life. I didn't know that was a thing until Jade started doing it, and now I squeeze lemon into everything.
She's a foodie, isn't she? She loves it. Yeah. I've heard that if you put lemon, I think Angela Hartnett said, like even a roast lamb, that if at the end you just squeeze a bit of lemon over it, it will really like heighten the flavour. Yeah,
exactly. I didn't realise how magical lemons were. It's changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. Speaking of food, Is this what? So you've got Crohn's disease
Yeah.
now, and obviously is food a problem? Major problem? I don't really know a lot about Crohn's. I know people that have got it, but I don't really know.
So, well, do you know what? I had my first romantic holiday with my husband 16 years ago.
What?
We went to Menorca for an absolute shag fest, and I got salmonella. And it's a brilliant kind of illness to get on a first holiday, and shat all over him.
Wonderful.
And anyway,
and then you had a.
but anyway, so and I think that really affected my tummy, right? And then fast forward to 2018, we're in Bali, and I get this insect bite on my leg, and basically it got really bad. And on the back of that, they were like, well, with this particular thing you've got with your skin is either, you've got an underlying thing of leukemia or Crohn's or colitis. So they did a colonoscopy and they found Crohn's. Wow. And, ever since then, I've been on immune suppressive treatment. I had 8 months off work and kind of had to get a lot better. It was a complete autoimmune kind of shutdown. Right. And I had to kind of retrain what was serving me and what was good for my body and stress, and just think about overall well-being. So food played a really important part of that. And so I spoke to a nutritionist friend and got lots of advice, and I instantly cut out gluten.
Yeah, right, okay.
And I never thought I was going to be a weetard, Rich. I never thought I was going to be that guy. Can I have the gluten-free menu, please? I never thought I was going to be that guy.
Yeah, you're that.
But I realised that it had to be done because I needed all the things that inflamed my body to be taken away.
Right.
And so gluten, unfortunately, is just in everything, right?
Yeah.
And I heard your conversation with Felicity Hayward, and she was talking about sugar, and it's like, yeah, it's everywhere. Wheat, sugar, all the bad stuff. So actually by cutting that out, regularly having bone broth and just, being measured. I mean, I still would eat a camembert hole in one, I still love food, and I love cooking, and I love entertaining, and I love the whole thing. I love all the delicacies. But in terms of that gluten thing, that had to kind of stop.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of careful. Like if I feel like I might be a bit flary, I will up my turmeric and cut back on my booze. And, I just think I'm far more listening to my body. Whereas I think my 20s and 30s, I was just probably, not listening to it probably as much as I should have.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody does. You just kind of barrel through life. You're like, I'm invincible. I'll just fling whatever. And it's only till you get older and you go, actually, this isn't. I'm changing shape. Yeah, I've found that recently. I've seen photos of myself. I'm like, oh, that's not good. That needs to not be there anymore. So I'm starting to cut stuff out. And
what are you cutting out?
Well, just sugar. I want to cut down on sugar, which is really hard to do, as you say, 'cause it's in everything. But I'm making that change.
Well done.
I'm trying, man. But
do you know what? I fucking love sugar.
Yeah.
Excuse my French. I just but it is, especially when you start to see little people starting to get familiar with sugar and how they change. It's I think it's really bad stuff. And
it's so evil. I've just bought a sandwich and it comes with a meal deal, and I've got a can of drink, San Pellegrino. Very nice. But yeah, exactly. But I think what I'm doing, it's like an addict. I'll buy it, but I won't drink it. I'll take it home with me and put it in the fridge, and my flatmate will have it. So it's almost like, and now producer Paul is showing me pictures of fairy cakes on the screen in front of me. Thanks, producer Paul.
You're welcome.
Are these gluten free?
No, not at all. They've got everything in.
He's showing me. I've got a screen in front of me, and he's showing me pictures of fairy cakes.
But I think, you know what, there's too much temptation out there. And I went to boarding school aged 8, and we would nail our sloppy lamb stew to have that Arctic roll. And I was always clean plate club, that was kind of like, you have to have a clean plate.
Yeah.
And I think I've always been that. Like, if someone served me a meal, like even once we were traveling and I like had a chicken anus in this soup and from this like Cambodian taxi driver took us to his house. I mean, like, first mouthful was like chicken bum right in my mouth. I'm like, I just know it has to be done, and it's like I'm a bit clean plate club in my head, and I think that's boarding school. It kind of it just, you have to finish your meal, otherwise you just don't. You're going to get told off, or
Yeah, right.
and I think that mentality kind of is probably not very positive. And I've always carried junk in my trunk, like always, and. But I'm proud that I've kind of always kept fit with it. Like, I've run a marathon, as a size 14 woman. And I was listening to your show with Felicity Hayward and the size 0 thing. And I've done quite a lot of stuff for kind of ugly models, plus size stuff. And I kind of don't like the way people with big bums are kind of judged, like not to be able to do something. And I think once I was outward bounding and someone said to me, "This isn't your kind of thing, is it?" And I was like, "I don't know what you mean." And then I went and did a 5K run, and I was like, "Yeah." And then I did 10K, and I was like, I'm going to do a half marathon. And then and then I was like, I'm going to climb the 3 peaks. Do you know what? I'm just going to get back on my bike after 25 years. Because I'm like, actually, do you know what? Fuck the stereotypes. You can do anything you want. Just like, get on with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I'm more upset that I've got really nice clothes that I can't fit into, and it won't take much for me to be able to. So that's what's upset me, is that I'm like, I like those jeans. I just want to get into them again. But yeah, this assumption that we all have to be stick thin in order to be beautiful and active and accepted by society is just bollocks. It's utter bollocks.
I was booked for this Sun job, right? And it was like, "Oh, you're going to be the national average. Okay, do you want to do it? It's 200 quid, yeah? We're going to put you in a bikini. You're going to be the national average, right? Size 14 woman. And we're going to put you next to a size 0. Okay, are you up for it?" I was like, yeah, totally up for it. And they put us in like the same bikini, but in different sizes. And then when it was published, I was just so mortified. I was like, why have I done this? Like, confident, ballsy woman, this is a good thing to do. Yeah. And then actually I was like, this piece is so negative.
Yeah.
And really wrong. And no, on the flip, I was booked for a bum article for New Woman or something, which was, can you imagine there being a bum article now? So there's 8 bums, and we're all shot by this beautiful female photographer, shot from behind, completely naked. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
But then they had like people rating our bums, right? And it's like, Dave from Enfield says, "Kelly's got a great bum." And actually, I was like, that was kind of like, at the time, I was like, I felt really empowered by that. But then the Sun piece, where I was like literally next to a size 0, and I was thinking, what is this actually trying to actually make people with the national average feel okay? Like, it didn't feel right.
No, it doesn't feel right. No, mate, that
was a tangent, soz.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely fine. Jade and I have these discussions all the time. Because she's a larger lady and she gets a lot of shit online, and it's always by people that you go, hang on a minute, have you not got a mirror in your house? Who are you to sit and judge anybody on anything when you're sat there in your 1,000 washed polo shirt that has seen better days, and you can see your little belly poking out, and you've got the audacity to pick holes in other people? How dare you?
That is jealousy, though, right? I've decided that any trolling is jealousy.
Oh, for sure.
It has to be. Yeah. Because what else is it?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand what else it can be.
No.
Especially someone as, successful and powerful and beautiful as Jade.
Yeah, she gets mentioned on every one of these. So with your illness and your pregnancy, do you have to take special measures, or are you sort of like, just as long as you sort of keep an eye on yourself? I don't know, yeah.
Well, thanks for caring, Mitch. I do. You know what? It's weird building a baby in a pandemic. Like, it is a bit of a strange,
of course, yeah.
but I'm feeling healthy. I'm I'm cycling 20k, doing 20k rides once a week. I'm trying to
20k.
So yeah, every week for the past 8 weeks with a friend on a Wednesday morning, she picks me up outside my house 6:50, and we cycle 20k, and just trying to keep really fit, because I think especially with the old coronavirus, if it comes knocking at my door, I want to be fit. And I think a lot of inflammation in your body can be cancelled out by health, and fitness is totally anti-inflammatory. So I'm just trying to keep super fit and positive, and my body feels great in pregnancy. But I've got an amazing gastro and wellness team at Homerton Hospital who are all over me, because obviously there's a strong chance that once this baby comes, that I could go straight into kind of a flare, which would then mean I'm quite poorly. So I've got a great team all around me, and I'm just trying to keep as fit as possible. So hopefully that means when the baby comes, my recovery will be quick, and, I'll be able to manage 2 children and, life and work and all those things. So, yeah.
Oh, mate. 20k. How long does that take you?
About an hour and 40.
Wow. I've been staying in West Ham, and I've got a job in a t-shirt place in Leigh-on-Sea, and
oh, wow.
I had this moment when my car's not working. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to cycle to Leigh-on-Sea from West Ham. And
How long does that take?
Well, on the map, right, it said 2 hours and 45, and I thought, well, I haven't cycled in a while, not any distance, so I thought I'll give myself a bit more time. And it took me 4 hours.
Wow.
I didn't make time for the hills. I was unprepared with my shorts. I didn't have my cushioned shorts on.
Oh, no.
I couldn't jump on a train, didn't have a mask with me. So I ended up getting just outside of Rayleigh, and I'm stood by this sign. I'm like, I have to keep going. I don't know what to do. Yeah, it took me 4 hours.
Oh, that's amazing. You're in West Ham, so you're round the corner.
Yes, I am. Yeah, at the moment. Yeah.
Well, we should meet for an ice cream in West Ham Park. I love that park.
Well, let's do it. I'm up for that. Yeah, definitely. So how far?
But well done, you.
Thank you.
Well,
four
well
hours it took me. Yeah. It's a lot. It's 35 miles or something, and yeah,
that is a lot.
I hadn't prepared. I had not prepared. So how far along are you?
I'm in age 40 years old. In pregnancy, I'm 24 weeks. So I look like I've swallowed a pumpkin. And yeah, like I'm going to be having a planned cesarean this time.
Okay.
At the end of January. So, I just feel like this winter is going to be funky. So I've just kind of installed through different bits and bops on eBay and stuff, my own kind of fireplace in my house. I'm like, I'm going to make it as cozy as possible in here, because we're going to be in, aren't we? I just keep thinking when they're talking about winter, it's like that scene in Game of Thrones, that like Night of the Dead.
Yes.
And I just think, anything to kind of create a cozy home space before that baby comes, because it's a bit bleak the next few months. I think the stats today are just over 25,000 new COVID cases. Can't quite get over that. But
no, I know it's yeah. So you're doing the right thing. Hunker down.
Yeah.
Just barricade yourself in, and yeah. And you're having a cesarean again, and that's. Can you just choose to have that, or is it for medical purposes?
Do you know what? Because the first time was so insane, I just made it clear from the get-go that this was my definite intention, and fair play to the midwife at Homerton. She was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. I think she kind of. There was no discussion of trying it any other way. The only person who's mentioned it, and my sister is a midwife, she's like, would you, like to try for a vaginal birth, Kelly? And I was like, literally just looked at her, and she couldn't really say anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, if there's an option to not have that.
No, thank you.
And no, yeah. My mate Gav, his son Jimmy was born. I think he was born in the car on the way there. And Gavin had to. My mate Gav had to. Do the do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that, Gav. If you're listening, he had to. Yeah, they were on their way there, and there was no stopping it. It was already in the barrel.
Oh, well done, Gav. That must be. It's a good story, isn't it?
Yeah. And so there is that. There's it's men that don't talk to each other. Then there's men that just have to roll their sleeves up and get involved. And your partner, is he? I imagine he's nothing but supportive and read up on everything and ready to go.
He's just he's a team player, and that is all you can ask for, you know.
Mm.
I think for the birth, obviously, but also just that day-to-day thing of, looking after a soul and making sure everyone is kind of happy and fulfilled amongst this job of parenting and getting it right. And, you know, I think I'm very lucky to have a really good one. So
yeah, well done. Yeah. Well done. Yeah, it's all right.
But it is a big thing, the parenting thing. Like it is like it's everything. It's I quite often call it like the brain confetti of, you know, is she got the right shoes on? When does she get her teeth checked? You know, do we need to go to the doctor? You know, has she got the right school uniform? Has she done her reading? What and all those things like it's a lot to consider. So, I mean, so much respect to single parents out there. Like my parents divorced when I was 4 and my mum brought me up until the age of 14 when she passed away. And I think actually I look back and I just think, how did she do it? And she was holding down hundreds of businesses. She's just like a incredible, crazy mogul. But I was like, how did she do it? Because, you know, it's a lot.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. And that was something that was brought to my attention when I was with my first one. One of the other, there was some friends of my ex-mother-in-law came round, and Nick, who was the husband, he took me to one side and he goes, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." He goes, "You're going to get a bit forgotten about." He said, "It's all going to be babies, and it's all going to be mums. It's going to be this." And he goes, talking about men not talking to each other, but he did. And he was this big biker dude as well. You wouldn't imagine someone like him to be that way, but he's a really sensitive soul. And he came around in his leathers and his mullet, and he's all this big burly dude. And he just looked and he just went, "Are you all right, mate? Are you doing okay? Because you're going to get forgotten and this, that, and the other." And
that's so nice.
It was really nice. It was, and I suddenly realized, I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, no one's really talking to me at all." Unless it's, can you go and fetch that? Can you get that? You know, like Mum would come around and go, "Oh, come on, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing that." You know, it's, yeah.
There's a bit of the old stereotyping going on. But actually, do you know what? Pete's birthday was 2 days after Tabs was born. And I kind of had wrapped all these presents before the birth, and I managed to hustle like a local coffee shop to deliver breakfast. And I kind of always kept in my mind, I think maybe also because my mum isn't around, you know, he kind of is, you know, actually he's part of, it's totally part, we're all part of one big ball of energy, aren't we?
Yeah.
God, that didn't come out completely right, but
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I just think he is my kind of support network number one, and actually has to be put right at the top of the list. And
I understand that. I totally understand that. And I
was going to say something really naughty, and actually I just don't think it's suitable for this. So
you can say it on here. We say all manner of stuff gets said on here.
I gave Pete a blowjob when we came home from delivering a baby, and everyone just can't quite believe that even 24 hours after a C-section. And I just think actually fair play to the geese. That's kind of what I was trying to get at with that.
I tell you what.
We can cut that, Paul, because that is naughty.
Just keep it in, Paul. I think that's fucking brilliant. I do remember.
Let's go to the trailer.
Shush,
no. Yeah.
I remember when they were, because Lisa was going on, it was running on a little bit, and they were like, well, there are ways that you go and eat a hot curry, and then they said one of the ways is to have sex. And I remember and we went back and said, shall we? I'm like, okay. So we started doing it, and then I had to stop. I just stopped and then laid next to her, and she's like, you're right. I went, I just envisage my penis going up where the baby is and its little hands. I can't. I don't want that to happen. I know it's not happening. I know it's not biologically right, but in my head, my penis was going up past the baby, and I'm not even that big. It wasn't like, it's just
No, but men are super visual, I think, as opposed to women. Women are, I think, just men are like far more visual. Yeah. Oh my God. Well done for trying. We tried, and then I had to stop, and I did apologise, and she did. We laughed. That was the main thing. Yeah. We did laugh about it. It's good to laugh.
Well, we did other stuff, Anyway, just to try and help things along. We thought it might help if we do something else anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it did, but not long after, we had to take her to hospital. So, well, who knows?
Well done.
Who knows? It's funny, like, when you see couples that go, we're pregnant. Do you do that? Or do you not? I find it when they go, we're pregnant. No, you are.
No, I don't think I am that guy.
No.
I don't think so. But I do feel like quite lucky to feel so energised at the moment, and I'm trying to get as much kind of work in and do as much kind of get as productive as I possibly can, because I just think you don't know kind of when that energy is going to go. And I think...
No, absolutely,
actually just to... enjoy every second when you're feeling good. And I think maybe the health thing has kind of definitely reinforced that. And I've always been a bit like that, I think, because my mum's life got taken a bit too soon. And I think actually I've always been a lid licker, of like giving life, giving life its best shot.
Yeah. Your mum sounds like an incredible woman.
Yeah, she was a character. Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm recording a 5-part podcast series about motherless mothers at the moment, and it's gonna be good. I mean, it's hard hitting. I shouldn't blow my own. Oh God, why am I now completely on that tip? I just can't get off blowing. But yeah, it's just I feel like those stories are so important to be told, and actually there's so many mums out there doing it without a mum, without a dad, without anyone. So I think to hear the stories of others who are kind of going about this journey of motherhood and parenting on their own, I think, it's going to be something to be really proud of. Yeah.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. It's difficult, like you say, doing it in a couple, but when you're doing it on your own, like you say, your mum was doing it and holding down various companies and as well as bringing you up. That's what an extraordinary woman. Yeah, and you. It sounds like you're a chip off the old block, mate. Really?
I don't know. Yeah, a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Dream and aspire. Yeah. So, what shop are you working in? I'm interested.
I'm working I work for a t-shirt company called SOS Clothing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're good lads. They're very good lads, and they are.
Good.
Yeah, they're wonderful. And and so I'm doing that. And so SOS Clothing for all your t-shirt needs.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's all cool. But yeah, we've got other stuff going on, so keeping busy. But so when are you due? When's it due?
So yeah, end of Jan.
I was born 29th of January, my birthday.
And is that a good birthday to have, Rich?
Yes.
What's good about it?
You're an Aquarian. It's the best star sign. We're absolute legends. Or as Felicity said, we're fucking weirdos, but we're also absolute legends.
Is it far enough away from Christmas that you still feel like you have your own birthday?
Yes.
Well, that's good.
There is a bit of, I've done Christmas and birthday now. I've got nothing till next year, but it's still fun because Christmas comes around, you enjoy Christmas, and then you go back to school, and then suddenly like, oh my God, it's my birthday in a couple of weeks' time, and you get all excited again. So yeah. The beginning of the year for us Aquarians is brilliant. We love it. And I think you'll be fine. Absolutely
Brilliant.
fine. So I wish you all the best with it.
Thank you.
It's been an
Thank
absolute joy
you.
having you on. Where can we find you?
So on Instagram, I am Book of Mum, and on iTunes at the moment, there is a series of the Everything Project in collaboration with Mac. There's a 6-part series. We're on episode 5 today, dedicated to amazing stories of HIV around the world. And yeah, I'm on Soho Radio every other Wednesday. Just dropped an amazing interview yesterday with Bushwhacker.
Oh, wow.
The international DJ and producer. So yeah, Book of Mum on Instagram and on Facebook, and Kelly Maxine Ford on Twitter, Soho Radio. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you
I need
so
to whittle
much,
that down. Yeah.
No, it's great. It's great. Well, you'll have some time off in a bit. So
Yeah. Thank you.
good luck. I wish you all the best.
Thanks so much, Rich.